The sun cast long shadows across the dusty roads of Millbrook Valley, where the growl of motorcycles had become as common as the whispers of trouble brewing in this once peaceful mountain town. At the edge of town, where asphalt met gravel, stood the last stop, a weathered motorcycle shop that had seen better days. Its owner, Jack "Ghost" Morrison, leaned against his custom Triumph Bonneville, his German Shepherd Shadow alert at his side, both watching the new faces rolling into their territory with quiet intensity. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The locals knew to leave Ghost alone. 3 years ago, he'd appeared from nowhere, bought the rundown shop with cash, and transformed it into the region's most respected custom bike build operation. His talent with machines was matched only by his desire for privacy and the constant presence of his unusually disciplined dog. What the newcomers strutting through town couldn't know, was that Ghost and Shadow had spent 8 years conducting high-risk motorcycle reconnaissance operations across the most dangerous regions of Afghanistan and Iraq. The scars hidden beneath Ghost's leather jacket and the titanium rod in his left leg told stories of missions that would never appear in any official record. Through his mirrored aviators, Ghost observed 3 heavily customized Hayabusas pull into the gas station across the street. Their riders, members of the newly arrived Razors Motorcycle Club, carried themselves with the artificial confidence of men who confused intimidation with respect. Shadow's ears twitched almost imperceptibly as he tracked their movements, a habit formed from countless combat patrols. "Easy, boy," Ghost murmured, his voice barely audible above the rumble of passing traffic. Shadow's posture remained relaxed, but alert, the same stance he'd maintained during countless surveillance operations in Kandahar's maze-like streets. The dog's military training wasn't obvious to casual observers, but it showed in subtle ways: the disciplined stillness, the constant environmental awareness, the perfect synchronization with his handler's movements. Marcus Chen, Ghost's lead mechanic, emerged from the shop wiping grease from his hands. The former Navy corpsman had his own reasons for appreciating the quiet life they'd built here. "Those guys have been asking questions around town," he said quietly. "About you, about the shop, especially about Shadow." Ghost nodded slightly, remembering similar patterns from his deployment days. How trouble always started with reconnaissance, with probing questions and testing boundaries. "They're looking to expand their territory," he replied, his tactical assessment automatic after years of threat evaluation. "Town this size, isolated location, minimal law enforcement presence. Perfect setup for their kind of operation." Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted toward the gas station. Through the morning haze, Ghost watched one of the Razor riders make a show of walking toward the last stop, his swagger practiced but his hand position betraying hidden tension. The man's leather cut was adorned with patches claiming status and territory, but Ghost recognized the artificial bravado of someone who'd never faced real combat. "Nice dog," the man called out, stopping at what he thought was a safe distance. "Looks well trained. Our club's always looking for quality animals. Interested in selling?" Ghost didn't move, didn't react. He'd faced down Taliban commanders trying to ambush his recon unit. This calculated provocation barely registered. Shadow remained perfectly still beside him, but Ghost could feel the subtle shift in the dog's energy, combat-honed instincts assessing threat levels and plotting response. "Patterns. Shadow's not for sale," Ghost replied evenly. "Neither is anything else here." The man's artificial smile tightened. "Everything's for sale, friend. Just depends on the offer. Our club president, Mr. Kane, has a real appreciation for specialized talents. Dogs, bikes, businesses, he knows how to recognize value, likes to bring valuable things under his protection." The implied threat hung in the air like the morning's dust. Ghost had heard similar offers in other places, seen how quickly such protection turned to ownership, then exploitation. Shadow's muscles tensed imperceptibly, reading his handler's subtle cues, just as he had during countless combat operations. "Your president's protection," Ghost said carefully, "isn't something we need. Appreciate the offer, though." The man's facade cracked slightly, revealing a flash of the anger beneath. "Everybody needs protection out here, friend. Town's changing. Be a shame if something happened to your nice shop or your dog." He turned to leave, then paused. "Think about it. Mr. Kane will be in touch." As the Hayabusas roared away, Marcus moved closer. "They don't know what they're poking at, do they?" Ghost watched Shadow track the bikes until they disappeared around the corner, the dog's combat training evident in his disciplined focus. "No," he replied quietly. "They don't." Inside the shop, Ghost pulled up the hidden camera feeds on his laptop, old habits from his reconnaissance days. The screens showed the Razors regrouping at their newly established clubhouse on the edge of town. Their numbers had grown in recent weeks, and their presence had brought subtle changes to Millbrook Valley. Local businesses were starting to close earlier. People were changing their routes to avoid certain streets. The familiar patterns of intimidation and control were emerging. Shadow lay at Ghost's feet, but his attention remained focused outward, monitoring the shop's surroundings, just as he had done in combat zones. The dog's military training wasn't about aggression or attack capabilities. It was about intelligence gathering, threat assessment, and strategic response. Skills that had kept both of them alive through years of high-risk operations. "They'll push harder," Marcus said, cleaning tools with practiced precision. "Kane's got a reputation, doesn't handle rejection well." Ghost nodded, remembering other enemies who'd mistaken quiet strength for weakness. "Let them push," he replied, his hand absently touching the scar beneath his jacket. "They'll learn." The morning sun climbed higher over Millbrook Valley as Ghost and Shadow began their daily routine. But both man and dog knew the peaceful life they'd built here was about to be tested in ways the Razors couldn't possibly understand. Through the security cameras, Ghost watched 4 more motorcycles arrive at the Razors clubhouse. The riders' patches identified them as members of the club's enforcement arm. Men who handled problems that couldn't be solved through intimidation alone. Shadow's ears twitched at the sound of distant engines, his combat-trained senses picking up details most would miss. Sarah Martinez, the local veterinarian, pulled up to the shop in her weathered Jeep. She was one of the few people who knew fragments of Ghost and Shadow's past, having treated injuries that couldn't be explained by civilian accidents. "Trouble's coming," she said without preamble, climbing out of her vehicle. "Kane's men just paid me a visit, said all local businesses need to start paying for veterinary insurance through their approved provider." Ghost's expression remained neutral, but his mind was already analyzing patterns, identifying vulnerabilities, planning contingencies, habits ingrained from years of combat operations. "They try anything else?" Started asking about Shadow's medical records. Wanted to know about his training, his capabilities. Sarah's face showed concern. "I told them client records are confidential, but they didn't seem to care much about laws or regulations." Marcus emerged from the shop's office, his phone in hand. "Just got word from Tommy at the parts supplier. Razors paid him a visit too. Said from now on, all motorcycle parts in the valley have to go through their approved channels." Ghost recognized the strategy. Control resources, isolate targets, establish dominance through 1,000 small pressures. He'd seen similar tactics in war zones, where insurgent groups would slowly tighten their grip on communities through seemingly legitimate business operations. Shadow suddenly tensed, his attention focused on the street. Moments later, the rumble of multiple motorcycles filled the air. Through the shop's windows, Ghost counted 6 bikes approaching. Not the flashy Hayabusas from earlier, but stripped-down road kings built for business rather than show. "Sarah, head inside," Ghost said quietly. Shadow moved into position beside him, their years of combat partnership evident in how they automatically covered each other's blind spots. Marcus disappeared into the shop's office, but Ghost knew his friend would be preparing their own contingency plans. The Road Kings pulled up in a practiced formation that spoke of military experience. These weren't just thugs with patches, but trained riders who understood tactical positioning. Their leader, a heavily muscled man with a spider web tattoo creeping up his neck, dismounted with calculated precision. "Mr. Morrison?" the man called out, his voice carrying the artificial friendliness of a practiced intimidator. "Name's Victor. Mr. Kane sent me to continue our earlier discussion about business opportunities." Ghost watched Shadow track the other rider's movements, the dog's combat training, allowing him to maintain perfect stillness while cataloging potential threats. "Nothing's changed since this morning." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "See, that's where you're wrong. Everything's changing in Millbrook Valley. Mr. Kane's bringing structure, organization, progress. Your little shop, it's got potential, but potential needs guidance. Protection." He gestured at Shadow. "That's a beautiful animal. Unusual to see a dog with that kind of discipline. In our line of work, we appreciate unique talents." Ghost felt Shadow's muscles tense imperceptibly. Beside him, not from fear, but from combat-honed instincts, recognizing pre-attack indicators. The other riders had spread out, attempting to establish a controlled perimeter around the shop's entrance. Amateur work compared to the infiltration tactics Ghost and Shadow had faced in actual combat zones. "Your dog," Victor continued, his tone hardening slightly. "He military trained, seems awfully focused for a regular shop dog. Way he moves, way he watches, that's specialized training. He's just well-disciplined," Ghost replied evenly, noting how Victor's hand kept straying toward his leather jacket's inside pocket. Shadow had noticed too, his attention split between multiple potential threats, just as he'd done in combat situations. "Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot. To us." Now back to the story. Victor's artificial friendliness dissolved entirely. "Here's the thing, Mr. Morrison. We've been asking around about you. Nobody seems to know where you came from. No history, no background. Just showed up one day with a highly trained dog and enough cash to buy this place outright. That kind of mystery makes people curious, makes them dig deeper." Ghost remained silent, remembering similar interrogations in other places. Shadow's breathing had slowed, a combat response learned through countless high-stress operations. They'd faced worse threats than this, but Ghost knew the next few moments would determine whether Millbrook Valley remained peaceful or became a battlefield. Victor's presence had changed the atmosphere around the last stop. The afternoon heat shimmered off the asphalt as his men maintained their loose perimeter, their practiced positions revealing their own military background. Ghost recognized the telltale signs. These weren't ordinary bikers, but trained operators who'd chosen a different path after their service. "Let me be clear about something," Victor said, taking a measured step forward. Shadow remained motionless, but Ghost could feel the subtle shift in the dog's energy. "Mr. Kane doesn't make offers twice. What we're proposing isn't just protection, it's an opportunity. Your skills, our resources, could be a profitable partnership." Inside the shop, Ghost knew Marcus was accessing their secure communications. Old habits from deployment days that had proven useful in civilian life. Sarah had positioned herself near the office's reinforced door, her medical experience making her valuable in uncertain situations. "I've got commitments to existing customers," Ghost replied carefully, watching how Victor's men responded to his. The voice, their micro-expressions and subtle shifts in posture told him they were prepared for violence, but not eager for it. Professional then. Dangerous. Victor's laugh held no humor. Existing customers can be redirected. Change of management doesn't mean the end of business. He gestured at the shop. Place like this, custom builds, specialized work, could be very profitable with the right connections, right supply chains. A motorcycle engine roared in the distance, drawing closer. Through the shop's security feeds, Ghost saw 3 more razors approaching from the north. Not backup. These were spotters, establishing surveillance positions. The kind of tactical awareness that separated professionals from common thugs. Think about your position here, Victor continued, his tone shifting from persuasion to something harder. Small town, isolated location, law enforcement's stretched, thin. Lot of things can go wrong in a place like this. Accidents, supply problems, customer issues. Shadow's ears pivoted slightly. He'd detected movement behind the shop. Ghost had noticed too. Someone trying to be stealthy, probably getting into position for whatever came next. Amateur work compared to the infiltration. Tactics they'd faced in combat zones. Take the dog, for instance, Victor said, his eyes fixed on Shadow. Quality animals like that need specialized care, veterinary services, proper food. Be a shame if something interferes with those necessities. The threat to Shadow changed something in Ghost's demeanor, a subtle shift that only those with combat experience would recognize. His posture remained relaxed, but his awareness had heightened to full combat readiness, just as it had during high-risk operations in hostile territory. "You've got until tomorrow morning," Victor announced, clearly considering the conversation. "You finished. Mr. Kane will expect your answer by then. Choose smart." He turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and don't get any ideas about leaving town. Roads can be dangerous at night. Lots of hazards for motorcycles." As Victor's group mounted their bikes, Ghost noted how they maintained tactical spacing. These men had training, had seen combat, but they'd never faced anything like what he and Shadow had survived together. Once the Razors had departed, Sarah emerged from the office. "They're setting up observation points around town," she reported, her time working with military K9 units. Evident in her tactical awareness, Tommy saw them marking spots with clear lines of sight to major intersections. Marcus joined them, his phone displaying a map of the valley. "They've got people watching the main roads too. Professional setup, probably ex-military working as contractors." Ghost studied the map, his mind automatically identifying choke points, alternate routes, potential ambush locations. The same tactical analysis that had kept his recon units alive in hostile territory. "They'll start with soft pressure first," he said quietly. "Disrupt supplies, intimidate customers, isolate targets. Standard insurgency tactics." Shadow suddenly focused on the street, his posture alerting Ghost moments before a pickup truck pulled into the lot. Harold Weber, owner of the local hardware store, looked shaken as he climbed out. "They just hit every business on Main Street," he reported, demanding protection payments, trying to take control of supply orders. Some kind of organized takeover. Ghost remembered similar patterns from his deployment days, how insurgent groups would systematically establish control over communities through a combination of economic pressure and implied violence. "They're moving faster than expected," he noted, watching Shadow track movement near the property line. Sarah's phone buzzed with multiple messages. 3 more businesses just got visits. They're coordinating their moves, hitting different sectors simultaneously. She looked up at Ghost. "This isn't just about your shop anymore." The afternoon. Sun cast long shadows across the last stop's parking lot as Ghost considered their situation. The Razors were implementing a professional operation, using military tactics to establish control over the valley. But they'd made a crucial mistake. They assumed Ghost and Shadow were simply a bike mechanic and his well-trained dog. Inside the shop's office, Ghost accessed his secured laptop, another remnant of his previous life that had proven valuable. The screen displayed feeds from carefully hidden cameras throughout town, showing the razors' systematic movement patterns. They were establishing presence, marking territory, implementing the same kind of control measures he'd seen insurgent groups use in combat zones. "They've got experience," Marcus observed, studying the footage. "Look at their formation changes, their communication patterns. These aren't street thugs playing soldier." Ghost nodded, remembering similar opponents in other places. Ex-military contractors, probably worked in private security after their service. Keynes built himself a professional operation. Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted toward the back door. Moments later, they heard the distinctive sound of someone trying to move quietly through the storage yard. Ghost checked the thermal imaging feed, two figures moving with tactical awareness, probably conducting close reconnaissance. "And they're probing our security," he said quietly, watching Shadow track the intruder's movements without giving away his awareness. "Testing responses, looking for vulnerabilities." Sarah studied the security feeds. Main Street's practically shut down. People are scared. Kane's men made it clear what happens to businesses that don't cooperate. Through the cameras, Ghost watched more razors arrive at their clubhouse. Their movements showed proper tactical spacing, professional awareness of lines of sight and fields of fire. These men had combat experience, but they'd never faced opponents like Ghost and Shadow. "They think they're hunting us," Ghost told Shadow as they watched the razors implement their operation. Just like others thought before them, the dog's posture shifted slightly, combat-ready but completely controlled. They'd faced worse odds in other places, survived situations that would never appear in any official record. The razors were about to learn why military training alone wasn't enough against actual combat veterans. As evening approached, Ghost began implementing his own preparations. Years of high-risk operations had taught him the value of proper planning, of understanding terrain and utilizing every available advantage. The razors might have numbers and resources, but they didn't understand what they were really facing. Marcus helped Ghost modify their security systems, upgrading sensors and adjusting camera positions. Their military experience showed in how they automatically covered blind spots and established overlapping fields of view. Sarah coordinated with other business owners, creating a network of allied locations throughout town. Shadow maintained his watch, his specialized training, allowing him to detect approaches that even professional operators would miss. The dog's combat experience wasn't about aggression or violence. It was about intelligence gathering, threat assessment, and strategic response. Through the growing darkness, Ghost could see the razors' observation teams taking up their positions around town. They were implementing a professional operation, using military tactics to establish control. But they had yet to realize their biggest mistake. They weren't facing a simple motorcycle mechanic and his trained dog. They were facing combat. Veterans who had survived the worst battlefields in the world. The night would reveal just how much they had underestimated their targets. From his observation point on, the last stop's reinforced roof, Ghost watched the razors' surveillance teams rotate shifts. Their movement patterns showed professional training, regular intervals, proper communication protocols, tactical awareness of surroundings. Shadow lay motionless beside him, the dog's enhanced night vision tracking multiple targets simultaneously. "Got movement at the north end," Marcus reported through their encrypted radio channel. "Two teams on motorcycles. Looks like they're setting up mobile checkpoints." Ghost studied the town's layout through his tactical scope. The razors were establishing a professional containment grid, using military-style protocols to control key access points. "They're isolating sectors," he noted, recognizing patterns from past operations, preparing for something bigger. Sarah's voice crackled through their secure channel. "Just got word from the pharmacy. Kane's men delivered their new approved supplier list. They're trying to control medical supplies now. Through his scope, Ghost observed Kane himself arrive at the Razor's clubhouse. The man moved with the confident precision of someone used to commanding trained operators. His security detail showed proper tactical formation. These weren't ordinary bodyguards, but combat-experienced professionals. Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted east. Moments later, Ghost spotted movement in the industrial district. The Razors were setting up what appeared to be a forward operating base, complete with communications equipment and tactical gear. This wasn't just a gang taking territory. It was a military-style occupation. They're implementing proper command and control protocols, Marcus observed through their encrypted channel. Look at their communication patterns, their unit coordination. Kane's running this like a private military operation. Ghost had seen similar setups in combat zones, how insurgent groups would establish professional infrastructure under the cover of legitimate business operations. But the Razors had made a critical error in their tactical assessment. They'd identified the last stop as a strategic target without understanding its true defensive capabilities. Below, 3 more Razor teams moved through town, their formations showing the disciplined spacing of trained operators. They were marking buildings, establishing sight lines, implementing the same kind of area control measures Ghost had encountered in hostile territories. Main Street's totally locked down, Sarah reported. They've got observers covering every major intersection, professional surveillance setup. Ghost watched Shadow track multiple targets without revealing his awareness. The dog's combat training wasn't about simple security. It was about gathering intelligence, identifying patterns, and preparing strategic responses. Skills honed through years of high-risk operations in the world's most dangerous environments. Kane's voice carried across their tactical frequency. The Razors hadn't bothered encrypting their communications yet, another sign of their overconfidence. All units maintain position. Tomorrow we start Phase 2. Show these people what happens when they ignore reasonable business proposals. Through his scope, Ghost observed Kane's security teams establish defensive positions around their new base. Their tactical awareness was professional, but they'd never faced opponents with actual combat experience. They were about to learn why military training alone wasn't enough against veterans of real warfare. They're bringing in more hardware, Marcus noted, monitoring their surveillance feeds. Military-grade communications equipment, tactical gear. Kane's got serious resources. Ghost remembered similar opponents in other places, how they'd mistake equipment and numbers for actual combat effectiveness. Shadow remained perfectly still beside him, but his muscles had tensed slightly. The dog sensed the approaching confrontation, just as he had during countless combat operations. As midnight approached, Ghost began implementing his own tactical preparations. Years of high-risk missions had taught him the value of proper planning, of understanding terrain, and utilizing every available advantage. The Razors might have numbers and resources, but they didn't understand what they were really facing. Through the darkness, he could see Kane's men conducting their final security sweeps. Their movements showed military precision, but they had yet to realize their fatal mistake. They weren't facing a simple motorcycle mechanic and his trained dog. They were about to encounter combat veterans who had survived the worst battlefields on Earth. Tomorrow would teach them the difference between military training and actual warfare experience. Dawn painted Millbrook Valley in shades of grey as Ghost conducted his morning perimeter check. Shadow moved silently beside him, the dog's enhanced senses detecting subtle changes in their environment. The streets were unusually quiet, no early morning deliveries, no workers heading to shops, none of the normal bustle that usually marked the start of a business day. Through his tactical earpiece, Ghost heard Marcus reporting movement from the Razor's new base. 6 teams heading out, full tactical gear. They're not trying to be subtle anymore. The sound of multiple motorcycles filled the morning air as Kane's men began implementing their next phase. Their formation was professional, staggered groups, maintaining proper tactical spacing as they moved through town. Ghost watched them establish checkpoints at key intersections, their movements showing the precision of trained operators. Sarah's voice came through their secure channel. They're systematically hitting every business that refused their protection offers. Just watch them empty the grocery store's inventory. Owner tried to resist. They broke his arm. Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted northwest. Moments later, Ghost spotted 3 Razor teams approaching the last stop, their tactical positioning indicating they expected resistance. These weren't the same men from yesterday's visits. These operators moved with the controlled precision of combat veterans. "Get ready," Ghost transmitted quietly to Marcus and Sarah. Shadow shifted slightly beside him, combat instincts responding to the approaching threat. The dog's military training wasn't about aggression. It was about controlled response to hostile situations. The Razor's lead team dismounted in a practiced formation, their body language showing they were prepared for confrontation. Their leader, a heavily scarred man Ghost recognized as Kane's chief enforcer, approached with calculated confidence. "Time's up, Morrison," the man announced, his voice carrying the hard edge of someone used to being obeyed. "Mr. Kane's generosity has limits. We're here to implement new management procedures." Ghost remained motionless, studying their tactical positioning. They'd established a proper containment pattern, with teams covering potential escape routes, and maintaining clear fields of fire. Professional work, but they'd never faced opponents with actual combat experience. "Your shop's now under Razor management," the enforcer continued. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, though personally, I'm hoping you resist." His hand moved toward his jacket, where Ghost spotted the outline of a concealed weapon. Shadow hadn't moved, hadn't made a sound, but his muscles had tensed imperceptibly. The dog's combat training allowed him to maintain perfect stillness while preparing for instant response. "This is private property," Ghost replied calmly. "You're not welcome here," the enforcer's laugh held no humor. "Private property? Nothing's private anymore. This whole valley belongs to the Razors now. Mr. Kane's very disappointed in your lack of business sense." He gestured, and his men began moving toward the shop's entrance. "Time to show everyone what happens to people who don't appreciate our protection." Ghost felt Shadow's energy shift beside him, the same combat-ready tension he'd sensed during high-risk operations in hostile territory. "Last warning," he said quietly. "Leave now." "Or what?" the enforcer sneered. "You and your dog are gonna... I'll take on my whole team. We've got trained operators, military experience. You're just a mechanic who doesn't know his place." Through his earpiece, Ghost heard Marcus reporting more Razor teams approaching from multiple directions. They were implementing a proper tactical operation, using military protocols to control the situation. But they'd made a fatal error in their threat assessment. The enforcer reached for his weapon, but Shadow moved faster than any civilian dog could. Before the man could clear his jacket, the German shepherd had covered the distance between them, his training evident in the precision of his response. No barking, no wasted movement, just the controlled application of force that marked a combat veteran. The enforcer found himself on the ground, Shadow's teeth an inch from his throat. The dog hadn't attacked, hadn't needed to. This was about control, about demonstrating capabilities without causing unnecessary harm. Ghost hadn't moved, but his stance had shifted slightly. The other Razor teams found themselves facing someone whose posture showed years of actual combat experience. "Your men have training," he said quietly, "but they've never faced a real military K9 unit. Shadow's not a guard dog. He's a combat veteran with 8 years of battlefield experience." The enforcer's team had drawn weapons, but they hesitated. Something in Ghost's demeanor, in Shadow's disciplined response, told them they'd severely miscalculated the situation. "Stand down," Ghost commanded softly. Shadow immediately backed away from the enforcer, maintaining perfect tactical positioning. The dog's movements showed the difference between training and actual combat experience. No aggression, no wasted energy, just controlled precision. Through their surveillance feeds, Ghost could see more Razor teams converging on their location. Kane was mobilizing his full force, implementing proper military response protocols, but they still didn't understand what they were really facing. "You have no idea what you just started," the enforcer snarled, climbing to his feet. His attempted intimidation was undermined by the slight tremor in his voice. "Mr. Kane's got resources you can't imagine. Professional operators, tactical teams. This isn't over." Ghost watched them retreat, noting how their formation had lost its professional precision. Shadow maintained his guard position, tracking multiple threads simultaneously, just as he had done in actual combat zones. "They'll be back," Marcus said through their secure channel. "Kane's not going to let this go unanswered." Sarah's voice added urgency to the situation. "Just got word from my contacts in law enforcement. Kane's got corrupt officers on his payroll. Local authorities won't help." Ghost studied the town through their surveillance system, his mind automatically analyzing tactical positions and potential choke points. The Razors had resources, numbers, and military training, but they were about to learn why actual combat experience trumped theoretical knowledge. Through their feeds, he watched Kane receive the report of their encounter. The man's reaction was controlled, professional, a commander analyzing an unexpected tactical situation. Within minutes, more Razor teams were mobilizing, their movements showing proper military protocols. "They're implementing a full containment strategy," Marcus reported, monitoring their perimeter sensors, setting up observation posts, establishing fire control zones. Professional operation. Ghost remembered similar situations from his deployment. Days, how enemies would mistake initial resistance for weakness, would escalate without understanding their opponent's true capabilities. Shadow remained alert beside him, the dog's combat experience evident in his disciplined focus. "Let them come," Ghost said quietly, watching Kane's forces prepare for their next move. Time they learned the difference between playing soldier and being a warrior. As morning fully illuminated Millbrook Valley, both sides prepared for what was coming. The Razors had numbers, resources, and military training, but they were about to face opponents who had survived the worst battlefields on Earth. The real war was about to begin. Inside his command center at the Razors' base, Kane reviewed helmet camera footage from the confrontation at the last stop. His expression remained neutral, but his eyes showed focused intensity as he studied Shadow's movements. "That's not standard protection dog training," he told his tactical advisors. "Look at his response patterns, his positioning. This is specialized military deployment experience." Kane paused the footage on Ghost's stance during the encounter. "And Morrison, the way he carries himself, his tactical awareness. We're not dealing with a simple mechanic." Through their surveillance network, Ghost watched the Razors implement their response. Teams were establishing new checkpoints, upgrading their communications equipment, and preparing for a coordinated operation. Their movements showed proper military precision, but also revealed their limitations. "They're setting up a tactical command post," Marcus reported through their secure channel. "Military-grade equipment, professional operators. Kane's got serious resources." Sarah's voice added new intelligence. "Just intercepted communications between Kane and someone higher up their chain. They're bringing in specialized units. Former Special Forces contractors." Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted toward the industrial district. Through their thermal imaging, Ghost spotted Razor teams conducting close reconnaissance of the last stop's surroundings. Their movement patterns showed combat experience, but they'd never faced opponents who'd survived actual warfare. "They're probing our defenses," Ghost noted, watching Shadow track multiple targets without revealing his awareness. "Testing response. In patterns, looking for vulnerabilities," Kane's voice carried across their monitored frequencies as he briefed his teams. "Morrison and his dog have a military background. Adjust tactical approaches accordingly. We take this slow, professional. No more direct confrontation until we understand what we're dealing with." Through their feeds, Ghost observed the Razor's methodical preparation. They were implementing proper military protocols, establishing secure communications, coordinating unit movements, preparing for sustained operations. But their training was based on theoretical knowledge, not actual combat experience. "Remember Kandahar?" Ghost asked Shadow quietly as they watched Kane's forces position themselves around town. The dog's subtle shift in posture showed he remembered. How they'd faced similar opponents who'd mistaken training for experience. Sarah's network of contacts provided crucial intelligence. "Kane's organization is bigger than we thought. They've got connections to private military contractors, corrupt officials, and international suppliers. This isn't just about controlling one town." Ghost studied the tactical situation through their surveillance system. The Razors had numbers, resources, and professional training, but they'd never faced opponents who'd survived the worst combat zones on Earth. They were about to learn why actual battlefield experience trumped theoretical knowledge. As noon approached, both sides prepared for the coming conflict. Kane's forces implemented proper military procedures, while Ghost and Shadow readied themselves for what they knew was coming. The real battle was about to begin. The afternoon sun cast harsh shadows across Millbrook Valley as Kane's specialized units arrived. 3 black SUVs pulled into the Razor's compound, their occupants moving with the distinctive precision of private military contractors. Through his tactical scope, Ghost observed their equipment: latest generation body armor, modified weapons, advanced communications gear. "These aren't regular operators," Marcus transmitted through their secure channel. "Look at their kit, their movement patterns. These are high-end contractors, probably ex-special forces." Shadow tracked the new arrivals without visible reaction, but Ghost could sense the dog's heightened awareness. They'd encountered similar units during classified operations, professionals who blurred the line between military and mercenary. Sarah's voice carried urgency through their encrypted frequency. "Just got word from my contact in the state police. Kane's organization has connections to multiple private military companies. They're using legitimate security contracts as cover for something bigger." Through their surveillance network, Ghost watched Kane meet with his new tactical advisors. Their body language and positioning showed extensive combat experience. These weren't the same level of operators they'd faced earlier. "The dog's our primary concern," one advisor said, studying footage from their morning encounter. "That's specialized military canine training, probably Tier 1 operations. Standard tactics won't work against an animal with actual combat experience." Kane's response was measured, professional. Morrison's no amateur either. The way he reads tactical situations, his threat assessment capabilities, he's got a serious operational background. "We need to change our approach." Shadow's ears suddenly pivoted toward the industrial district. Moments later, Ghost spotted movement through their thermal imaging. Kane's new teams conducting professional reconnaissance using proper counter-detection techniques. "They're mapping every approach to the shop," Marcus reported, monitoring their sensor network, setting up proper fire control zones, establishing overlapping fields of view. "These guys know what they're doing." Ghost watched them implement their new tactical plan. The contractors moved with practiced efficiency, establishing observation posts and communication relays. Their operation showed proper military precision, but they still didn't understand what they were truly facing. Sarah's intelligence network provided crucial updates. Kane's organization is expanding their operation. They're bringing in specialized equipment, setting up secure communications infrastructure. This isn't just about controlling territory anymore. Through their feeds, Ghost observed the contractors' methodical preparation. They were implementing advanced military protocols, establishing secure channels, coordinating unit movements, preparing for sustained operations. But their training, however professional, couldn't match actual combat experience. "Sir," one of Kane's new advisors reported, "analysis of Morrison's movement patterns suggests specialized reconnaissance training. The way he and the dog work together, this isn't standard military. This is something more advanced." Kane studied the tactical displays showing their forces' positions around town. "Adjust our approach. No more direct confrontation. We isolate, contain, then apply systematic pressure." Professional operation by the book. Ghost monitored their communications, recognizing the shift in strategy. The contractors were implementing proper military doctrine, but they'd never faced opponents who'd survived the worst combat zones on Earth. Sarah's voice added new urgency to the situation. "Just intercepted communications between Kane and his suppliers. They're bringing in specialized equipment, advanced surveillance gear, tactical systems, things that shouldn't be available to private organizations." Through their thermal imaging, Ghost spotted the contractors establishing new positions around the last stop. Their tactical awareness was professional, but they'd made a crucial error in their assessment. "They think this is about force projection," Ghost told Shadow as they watched the contractors coordinate their movements. "Just like those PMCs in Fallujah thought numbers and equipment guaranteed victory." Marcus's voice carried concern through their secure channel. "These guys are different from Kane's regular forces. Look at their protocol adherence, their tactical discipline. They've got serious combat experience." But Ghost had seen similar opponents before, professionals who mistook training for true battlefield wisdom. Shadow remained alert beside him, the dog's combat experience evident in his disciplined focus. As evening approached, Kane's contracted forces continued their methodical preparation. They were establishing a professional operation, using military protocols to control the situation. But they had yet to realize their fatal mistake. Through their surveillance network, Ghost watched the contractors implement their containment strategy. Teams moved with coordinated precision, establishing control points and communication nodes around town. Their operation showed tactical excellence, but it also revealed their fundamental misunderstanding. "Sir," Kane's lead advisor reported, "studying their tactical displays, Morrison's not reacting to our positioning. He's letting us establish containment without response. This isn't normal civilian behavior." Kane's expression remained neutral, but his voice carried new concern. "Because he's reading our tactical patterns. He knows what we're doing because he's done it before." At a much higher level, Ghost monitored their communications, recognizing the moment when professional confidence began to shift toward tactical uncertainty. The contractors were implementing textbook military operations, but they'd never faced opponents who'd survived actual warfare. Sarah's intelligence network continued, providing crucial updates. Kane's organization is connected to something bigger, found links to international security firms, private military operations worldwide. They're using Millbrook Valley as a test case for something larger. Through their thermal imaging, Ghost observed the contractors' night operations begin. Teams moved with practiced stealth, using advanced equipment and proper tactical procedures. But their training, however professional, couldn't match the experience gained in real combat zones. "They're setting up for something big," Marcus transmitted, monitoring their sensor network. "Multiple teams, coordinated movements, professional protocol. This isn't just about the shop anymore." Ghost watched them implement their strategy, recognizing patterns from his own operational experience. The contractors were establishing a textbook military operation, but they'd never faced opponents who understood the true nature of combat. As darkness fell over Millbrook Valley, both sides prepared for what was coming. Kane's professional forces had resources, training, and tactical excellence, but they were about to learn why actual combat experience trumped theoretical knowledge. The time for training exercises was over. Real warfare was about to begin. Inside the Razor's command center, Kane reviewed the latest thermal imaging from their surveillance teams. The screens showed the last stop's defensive layout, carefully analyzed by his contracted specialists. "Look at his setup," the lead tactical advisor pointed out. "Overlapping fields of fire, multiple fallback positions, proper counter-surveillance measures. Morrison's got serious combat engineering experience. This isn't amateur work." Through their own surveillance network, Ghost watched the contractors implement their next phase. Teams were deploying advanced electronic warfare equipment, setting up signal interception arrays, and preparing for a coordinated information warfare operation. "They're trying to map our communications," Marcus reported through their quantum-encrypted channel, "using military-grade direction-finding equipment. These guys have access to stuff that shouldn't be available to private organizations." Sarah's voice added new intelligence. "Just intercepted transmissions between Kane and someone higher up. They're calling in specialized assets. Former intelligence operators, electronic warfare specialists. This is beyond normal private military operations." Shadow's ears suddenly shifted. He'd detected something in the ultrasonic spectrum. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost spotted the contractors deploying sonic surveillance devices, attempting to map the last stop's internal layout through wall-penetrating frequencies. "They're getting sophisticated," Ghost noted, watching Shadow track multiple electronic signatures without revealing his capabilities. "Using classified technology, advanced operational protocols. Someone's backing them with serious resources." Kane's voice carried across their monitored frequencies as he coordinated with his technical teams. "Full-spectrum electronic surveillance. I want every frequency mapped, every communication traced. Find out what we're really dealing with." The contractors moved with professional precision, establishing a complex electronic warfare net around the target area. Their operation showed advanced military expertise, but also revealed their crucial misunderstanding of their opponent's capabilities. "Remember Damascus?" Ghost asked Shadow quietly as they watched the contractors deploy their equipment. The dog's subtle shift acknowledged the memory, how they'd faced similar electronic warfare operations during classified missions that would never appear in any record. Sarah's network uncovered disturbing connections. Kane's organization has links to classified military research programs, experimental technology development. They're using private security operations as cover for something much bigger. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost monitored the contractors' electronic warfare operation. They were implementing advanced military protocols, using classified technology to establish information dominance. But they'd never faced opponents who'd operated beyond the edge of conventional warfare. As night fully descended, both sides prepared for a new kind of conflict. Kane's forces had resources, technology, and professional expertise, but they were about to learn why actual combat experience in classified operations trumped even the most advanced training. The real Shadow War was about to begin. Midnight cast Millbrook Valley in perfect darkness, ideal conditions for Kane's specialized infiltration teams to begin their operation. Through advanced night vision, Ghost observed 6 figures moving with extraordinary stealth toward the last stop. Their movement patterns revealed training beyond standard military protocols. These were intelligence operators with black operations experience. New players on the field, Marcus transmitted through their quantum channel. "These guys are different. Look at their equipment. Prototype stealth suits, next-generation optical camouflage. This is classified tech." Shadow hadn't moved, but his breathing had slowed. A response pattern developed during ultra-sensitive reconnaissance missions, where even the slightest sound could compromise position. The dog's enhanced sensory capabilities detected subtle variations in air pressure. As the infiltration team approached, Sarah's voice carried urgency. "Just decrypted communications between Kane and his real employers. Found references to Project Shadowblade, some kind of classified military program involving enhanced human canine operations. They're not just here for territory control. The infiltration team's approach showed unprecedented sophistication. They moved through sensor fields using advanced countermeasures, their prototype gear allowing them to bypass standard detection systems. But they hadn't counted on facing opponents with experience in the most classified theaters of operation. Interesting timing, Kane's tactical advisor noted through their monitored channels. Morrison and his dog disappeared from all records. 3 years ago, right when Project Shadowblade went dark. This can't be a coincidence. Through quantum imaging, Ghost watched the infiltration team implement their operation. They weren't just trying to breach the last stop's defenses. They were attempting to confirm something specific about its occupants. "They're scanning for particular biomarkers," Marcus reported, analyzing their sensor data. "Looking for traces of some kind of enhancement program. Whatever Project Shadowblade was, it went way beyond normal military operations." Shadow's muscles tensed imperceptibly. He'd detected something even the prototype sensors missed. Through their thermal array, Ghost spotted additional teams approaching from multiple vectors, using formation patterns that suggested deep black operations training. "Sir," one of Kane's specialists transmitted, "getting unusual readings from the target area. The dog's biosignature doesn't match any known military canine profile. It's like nothing in our database." Kane's response revealed new dimensions to their mission, because we're not dealing with standard military assets. If Morrison and his dog really are Shadowblade subjects, this operation just became something else entirely. Ghost monitored their movements, recognizing protocols he'd encountered in theaters of operation that officially didn't exist. The infiltration. Teams were implementing classified penetration techniques using technology that shouldn't exist outside of experimental programs. Sarah's intelligence network uncovered disturbing connections. Found references to similar operations worldwide, private military companies recruiting subjects from classified enhancement programs. They're building some kind of specialized force. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost detected the infiltration team's true objective. They weren't just gathering intelligence, they were testing responses, confirming theories about capabilities that went beyond normal human and canine limitations. "Remember that facility in Mongolia?" Ghost asked Shadow quietly. The dog's subtle shift acknowledged missions that existed only in the darkest corners of military classification. Operations involving breakthrough technologies and enhanced capabilities that the world wasn't ready to know about. The infiltration team's approach revealed their specialized training. They moved like ghosts through normal security measures, their prototype gear, allowing them to operate beyond standard human limitations. But they'd never encountered subjects who'd survived the most classified phases of Project Shadowblade. Multiple teams converging, Marcus warned through their secure channel. They're using some kind of networked consciousness technology, coordinating movements through direct neural links. This is way beyond anything that's supposed to exist. Ghost watched them implement their operation, recognizing patterns from programs that had pushed the boundaries of human and canine enhancement. The infiltration teams had advanced training and classified technology, but they were about to face opponents who had transcended normal operational limitations. Sarah's voice added crucial intelligence. Kane's organization isn't just running private military operations. They're collecting subjects from various enhancement programs, building some kind of specialized force using classified breakthrough technologies. Through their quantum imaging, Ghost monitored the infiltration team's methodical advance. They moved with inhuman precision, their enhanced capabilities allowing them to operate beyond normal physical constraints. But their training, however, advanced, couldn't match experience gained in the most classified theaters of operation. Biosignature confirmed, one of Kane's specialists reported. Both targets show markers consistent with Project Shadowblade protocols. We're dealing with successful enhancement subjects. Shadow's enhanced senses detected subtle shifts in the quantum field, signs that the infiltration teams were preparing to implement their primary objective. Their operation went beyond simple penetration testing. They were attempting to confirm capabilities that shouldn't exist outside of classified research facilities. As the deepest part of night approached, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal the true nature of their capabilities. Kane's enhanced forces had classified training and breakthrough technology, but they were about to learn why actual experience in the darkest corners of military research trumped even the most advanced enhancements. The Shadow War was about to transcend normal operational parameters. Inside his advanced command center, Kane studied incoming data from his infiltration team's prototype sensors. The readings defied conventional analysis. Biological signatures that suggested capabilities far beyond standard military enhancement. Look at these neural patterns, his chief scientist pointed out. The connection between Morrison and the dog, it's operating on quantum entanglement principles. This goes beyond anything we achieved in Project Shadowblade's official phases. Through their own quantum detection grid, Ghost monitored the infiltration team's specialized equipment. They were deploying experimental technology designed to interface with enhanced subjects, tools developed for programs that existed beyond normal classification levels. They're trying to establish quantum resonance, Marcus reported, analyzing the incoming data streams using some kind of consciousness mapping technology. They're not just gathering intelligence, they're trying to understand how you and Shadow achieve stable enhancement integration. Sarah's voice carried new revelations through their secured channel. Found archived files about Project Shadowblade's true purpose. It wasn't just about enhancing human and canine capabilities. They were trying to achieve something called quantum consciousness fusion. Most subjects couldn't survive the process. Shadow's enhanced senses detected unusual energy signatures as the infiltration teams activated their prototype gear. The air itself seemed to ripple with quantum distortions as classified technology attempted to probe capabilities that shouldn't exist outside of experimental facilities. Remarkable, Kane's lead scientist transmitted, studying the sensor feeds. Their neural synchronization is orders of magnitude beyond anything we recorded in trials. They've achieved true, quantum-level consciousness integration. Ghost observed the infiltration teams through quantum imaging, recognizing protocols developed for programs that operated beyond the boundaries of known science. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to transcend normal human limitations, but they lacked experience with true consciousness fusion. The dog's neural patterns are extraordinary, another specialist reported. It's not just enhanced sensing, he's operating in quantum superposition, processing multiple reality states simultaneously. This shouldn't be possible outside of controlled laboratory conditions. Kane's response revealed deeper knowledge of classified programs. Because they weren't just test subjects, they were the prototype for something new. A true human-canine fusion team operating at the quantum level. Everything else was just preparation for this breakthrough. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost monitored the infiltration team's attempts to map their capabilities. The prototype technology they carried was designed to analyze enhanced subjects, but it couldn't comprehend abilities that transcended normal enhancement protocols. Sarah's intelligence network uncovered disturbing implications. These private military companies, they're not just collecting enhanced subjects, they're trying to replicate Project Shadowblade's quantum fusion success, building some kind of specialized force operating beyond normal physical laws. As the infiltration teams moved closer, their enhanced capabilities became more evident. They operated with inhuman precision, their consciousness networked through experimental technology, but they'd never encountered subjects who had achieved true quantum-level integration. Multiple quantum signatures converging, Marcus warned. They're using some kind of experimental consciousness amplification field, trying to override your neural patterns with their networked awareness. Ghost watched them implement their operation, recognizing attempts to probe capabilities that existed beyond normal classification. The infiltration teams had advanced technology and enhanced abilities, but they were about to face opponents who had transcended the boundaries between human and canine consciousness. Through their quantum sensors, Shadow detected the infiltration team's true purpose. They weren't just gathering data, they were attempting to understand how two consciousnesses could achieve stable quantum fusion without the massive technical infrastructure used in Project Shadowblade's experiments. "Sir," Kane's lead scientist reported with growing excitement, "their neural synchronization is maintaining coherence even under quantum interference. They've somehow achieved permanent consciousness entanglement. This changes everything we thought we knew about enhancement possibilities." As the quantum field around the last stop rippled with increasing distortion, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond normal human understanding. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and networked consciousness, but they were about to learn why true quantum fusion transcended mere technological enhancement. The Shadow War was about to enter realms that science had only theorized could exist. The pre-dawn air crackled with invisible energy as Kane's enhanced forces prepared for their primary operation. Advanced combat vehicles rolled into position around the last stop, their experimental stealth systems bending light and sound around their massive forms. Through quantum imaging, Ghost observed technology that shouldn't exist outside of classified research facilities. "Multiple signatures incoming," Marcus transmitted through their secured channel. "They're deploying some kind of biomechanical combat suits, which looks like reverse-engineered alien tech. This goes beyond classified programs into restricted territory." Sarah's intelligence network had uncovered disturbing revelations. Found references to Project Starchaser in Kane's encrypted files. They weren't just studying quantum consciousness. They were attempting to interface with non-human intelligence, using enhanced subjects as conduits. Shadow's heightened senses detected unusual distortions in the local quantum field. The biomechanical suits of Kane's forces war seemed to pulse with otherworldly energy, their systems operating on principles that defied conventional physics. "Commence primary operation," Kane ordered through their monitored frequencies. "Full spectrum engagement. Let's see what Project Shadowblade's most successful subjects are really capable of." The enhanced operators moved with unsettling fluidity, their biomechanical suits allowing them to transcend normal human limitations. But they hadn't counted on facing opponents who had experienced direct contact with non-terrestrial consciousness. "Remember the incident at Facility 7, Ghost?" asked Shadow quietly. The dog's neural patterns shifted in acknowledgement, memories of encounters that had forever changed their understanding of reality and consciousness. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost watched Kane's forces implement protocols designed for engaging enhanced subjects. Their technology was extraordinary, but it followed patterns predictable to those who had experienced true quantum consciousness fusion. "Sir," one of Kane's specialists reported, "detecting unusual energy signatures from the target area. The dog's neural patterns are showing signs of non-human intelligence. This matches readings from Project Starchaser's deep space communications attempts." The enhanced operators established a containment grid using experimental quantum field generators. Their biomechanical suits hummed with power as they prepared to engage targets that represented the peak of human-canine consciousness integration. "They're not just enhanced," Kane's lead scientist observed, studying incoming data. "They've achieved something we only theorized was possible: stable quantum entanglement with non-terrestrial intelligence patterns. The dog isn't just sensing, he's channeling awareness from beyond our normal reality." Sarah's voice carried urgent new information. "These biomechanical suits, they're based on technology recovered from classified incidents. Kane's organization isn't just running private military operations, they're preparing for contact with non-human intelligence. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost monitored the operator's movements. Their enhanced capabilities and experimental technology allowed them to transcend normal physical laws, but they lacked experience with true quantum consciousness interaction." "Multiple quantum signatures converging," Marcus warned. "They're generating some kind of artificial reality field, trying to isolate you from external consciousness contact." The enhanced operators moved with inhuman grace, their biomechanical suits allowing them to manipulate local quantum fields. But they'd never faced opponents who had achieved direct neural synchronization with non-terrestrial awareness. "Remarkable," Kane's chief scientist transmitted, analyzing sensor data. "The dog's consciousness is operating in a quantum superposition with multiple reality states. He's not just enhanced, he's a conduit for something beyond our current understanding." Shadow's enhanced senses detected the operator's true purpose. They weren't just trying to capture enhanced subjects, they were attempting to understand how organic consciousness could achieve stable contact with non-human intelligence without massive technological support. "Sir," one of Kane's specialists reported with growing concern, "their neural patterns are showing signs of active quantum entanglement with external consciousness sources. They're not just receiving, they're actively communicating through channels we can't detect." As reality itself seemed to ripple around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current human comprehension. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and biomechanical augmentation, but they were about to learn why direct contact with non-terrestrial consciousness transcended mere physical enhancement. Through their quantum imaging, Ghost watched the operators attempt to establish control over local reality fields. Their technology was extraordinary, but it couldn't match experience gained through actual contact with intelligences that existed beyond normal space-time. "They've achieved what Project Starchaser could only theorize," Kane's lead scientist transmitted with growing excitement. "Organic consciousness capable of stable quantum entanglement with non-terrestrial awareness. This changes everything we thought we knew about human potential." Shadow's enhanced senses detected growing distortions in the quantum field as the operators activated their primary systems. The biomechanical suits were designed to interact with enhanced subjects, but they couldn't comprehend consciousness that had transcended normal reality constraints. As the first light of dawn approached, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current scientific understanding. Kane's forces had experimental technology and enhanced abilities, but they were about to learn why direct contact with non-terrestrial intelligence transcended mere technological advancement. The Shadow War was about to enter realms that existed beyond human comprehension. within his quantum-shielded command. Center Kane studied readings that defied conventional analysis. The holographic displays showed energy patterns emanating from the last stop that matched no known terrestrial signature. "The correlation is undeniable," his chief xenologist stated, comparing data streams. "These consciousness patterns, they're identical to signals detected by Project Starchaser's deep space arrays." Morrison and his dog aren't just enhanced subjects, they're proof of successful contact. Through their advanced detection grid, Ghost observed Kane's forces activating systems that pulsed with otherworldly energy. The biomechanical suits weren't just reverse-engineered technology, they were attempts to replicate capabilities gained through direct contact with non-human intelligence. "They're generating quantum interference fields," Marcus reported, analyzing distortion patterns, "trying to disrupt your connection to external consciousness sources. Whatever they recovered from those classified incidents, they've weaponized it." Sarah's voice carried revelations through their secured channel. "Found references to something called the Signal in Project Starchaser's archived files. 3 years ago, deep space arrays detected patterns matching conscious thought. Most enhanced subjects exposed to it suffered complete neural collapse, but some achieved stable contact. Shadow's heightened awareness detected ripples in local space-time as the enhanced operators activated their primary systems. The biomechanical suits hummed with energy that resonated on frequencies beyond normal human perception. "Look at these consciousness wavelengths," Kane's xenologist transmitted. With growing excitement, the dog isn't just channeling external signals. He's achieving two-way communication through quantum entanglement. This level of neural synchronization shouldn't be possible with current technology. Ghost monitored the operator's movements through quantum imaging, recognizing patterns that suggested contact with intelligence operating beyond normal physical laws. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to manipulate local reality, but they lacked experience with true cross-dimensional consciousness interaction. "The implications are staggering," another specialist reported. "If organic minds can achieve stable contact without massive technological infrastructure, everything we thought we knew about consciousness and reality needs to be re-evaluated." Kane's response revealed a deeper understanding of classified programs. Project Shadowblade wasn't just about enhancement, it was preparation, creating minds capable of surviving direct contact with non-human intelligence. Everything else was just groundwork for the real breakthrough. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost watched the operators implement protocols designed for engaging consciousness, operating beyond normal space-time. Their technology was extraordinary, but it couldn't match experience gained through actual contact with non-terrestrial awareness. As reality itself seemed to fluctuate around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities transcending current scientific understanding. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and reality-bending abilities, but they were about to learn why direct contact with non-terrestrial intelligence went beyond mere physical laws. The Shadow War was about to breach the boundaries between dimensions. Reality fractured like shattered glass around the last stop as Kane's forces pushed their experimental technology to its limits. The morning sky rippled with impossible colors as probability waves collapsed and reformed, creating patterns that human minds were never meant to comprehend. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost observed the very fabric of existence beginning to unravel. "Critical breach detected in the probability matrix," Marcus transmitted through channels that existed outside normal space-time. "They're not just manipulating reality anymore. They're trying to access the quantum source code of the universe itself. This goes beyond dimensional manipulation." Sarah's network had unveiled something unprecedented. Found references to Protocol Omega in Kane's quantum encrypted files. They're not just creating dimensional corridors, They're attempting to access what they call the consciousness substrate of reality, the fundamental layer where thought shapes existence. Shadow's awareness expanded beyond dimensional boundaries, perceiving patterns in the quantum foam that suggested attempts to breach the final barriers between mind and reality. The experimental craft surrounding them pulsed with energies that resonated with the fundamental frequencies of existence. Execute Protocol Omega, Kane ordered through frequencies that vibrated across multiple probability states. Full spectrum reality interface. Let's see how they handle direct access to the universe's base code. The enhanced operators emerged from their craft wearing suits that seemed to flicker between existence and non-existence. Their consciousness partially merged with the quantum substrate of reality itself. But they hadn't anticipated facing opponents who had already achieved direct interface with the universe's fundamental programming. Remember the Ganymede revelation? Ghost asked Shadow quietly. The dog's neural patterns pulsed with memories of discoveries that had shown them the true nature of consciousness, not just an emergent property of brain activity, but a fundamental force of reality itself. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost monitored the operators attempting to establish direct neural links with the quantum substrate. Their technology could interface with reality's base programming, but it followed patterns predictable to those who had achieved conscious unity with the universal mind. Unprecedented readings from the target area, Kane's chief theoretical physicist reported. The dog's consciousness isn't just interfacing with reality, it's actively rewriting probabilistic causality chains. This transcends everything we thought possible about mind-reality interaction. The enhanced operators activated devices that began unweaving the very fabric of local space-time, attempting to expose the mathematical foundations of existence. Their experimental craft channeled energies that resonated with the frequency of thought itself as they prepared to engage targets that represented successful integration with the universal consciousness. The implications rewrite our entire understanding of reality, Kane's lead quantum theorist observed, studying incoming data. They've achieved what we thought impossible: direct conscious access to the universe's source code. The dog isn't just perceiving reality's programming, he's actively debugging and recompiling it in real time. Sarah's voice carried revelations that defied comprehension. These experimental systems, they're based on mathematics discovered in ancient ruins on Europa. Kane's organization isn't just manipulating reality, they're attempting to access what those ruins called the prime consciousness, the original mind that dreamed the universe into being. Through their quantum imaging, Ghost watched the operators implement protocols designed for interfacing with the fundamental layer of reality. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to perceive the mathematical structure of existence, but they lacked experience in conscious manipulation of the universe's base code. Reality compiler reaching critical state, Marcus warned. They're attempting to overwrite our local causality parameters, trying to prevent direct consciousness-driven manipulation of the quantum source code. The enhanced operators moved like glitches in the universal program, their suits allowing them to exist partially outside normal causality. But they'd never faced opponents who had achieved conscious root access to reality's operating system. Extraordinary. Kane's chief physicist transmitted, analyzing quantum compilation patterns. Their neural synchronization allows them to directly modify probability execution paths in the universal source code. They're not just observers of reality, they're active contributors to its ongoing computation. Shadow's expanded consciousness detected the operator's ultimate purpose. They weren't just trying to contain enhanced subjects, they were attempting to understand how organic minds could achieve a stable interface with the fundamental programming of existence without technological support. "Sir," one of Kane's specialists reported with mounting alarm, "their reality modifications are propagating through our containment protocols. The universal compiler isn't processing according to our models. They're consciously redirecting execution paths in the quantum source code." As reality itself seemed to buffer and reload around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current theoretical understanding. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and direct reality interface capabilities. But they were about to learn why conscious access to the universe's source code transcended mere technological achievement. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost watched the operators attempt to establish root access to local reality parameters. Their technology was extraordinary, but it couldn't match experience gained through actual debugging and recompilation of the universal source code. "They've mastered what Protocol Omega could only theorize," Kane's lead scientist transmitted, with growing agitation. "Organic consciousness capable of directly modifying the quantum compilation process. This rewrites everything we thought we knew about the nature of reality and mind." Shadow's expanded awareness detected critical instabilities in the local reality compiler as the operators pushed their systems beyond safe parameters. The experimental craft were designed to interface with the universe's base code, but they couldn't comprehend consciousness that had transcended normal computational constraints. As the morning light fragmented through reality's destabilizing source code, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current scientific comprehension. Kane's forces had experimental technology and reality interface abilities, but they were about to learn why conscious access to the universal compiler transcended mere technological advancement. The Shadow War was about to reach into the fundamental programming of existence itself. In his quantum-shielded command center, Kane studied displays showing mathematical patterns that defied conventional physics. The holographic readouts revealed layers of reality's source code that no human technology was meant to access. "The correlation with the Europa equations is perfect," his chief mathematician stated, comparing impossibly complex formulae. "These consciousness patterns, they match the ancient descriptions of how the prime mind compiled existence into being." Morrison and his dog aren't just interfacing with reality, they're reading the original creation code. Through their advanced detection grid, Ghost observed Kane's forces activating systems that resonated with the fundamental frequency of thought itself. The experimental craft weren't just manipulating reality, they were attempting to establish direct neural links with the universe's base programming. Reality compiler reaching critical variance, Marcus reported, analyzing quantum execution streams. "They're trying to force a hard reset of local space-time parameters. Whatever they recover from those ruins, they're using it to attempt root access to existence itself." Sarah's voice carried revelations through channels that existed outside normal causality. Found references to the first equation in Protocol Omega's archived data. 3 billion years ago, something encoded the mathematical foundation of consciousness into the quantum fabric of reality. Most attempts to access it caused complete universal parameter collapse, but some achieved a stable interface. Shadow's expanded awareness detected fluctuations in the cosmic source code as the enhanced operators activated their primary systems. The experimental craft hummed with energies that resonated with the original frequencies of creation. "These compilation patterns," Kane's mathematician transmitted with growing excitement. "The dog isn't just reading the universe's source code, he's actively contributing to its ongoing computation. This level of conscious interface with reality's base programming shouldn't be possible with organic neural architecture." Ghost monitored the operator's movements through quantum imaging, recognizing patterns that suggested direct neural links with the fundamental layer of existence. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to perceive reality's mathematical structure, but they lacked experience with actual universal source code manipulation. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost watched the operators implement protocols designed for accessing reality's deepest programming layer. Their technology was extraordinary, but it couldn't match experience gained through direct interface with the cosmic compiler. As the very mathematics of existence seemed to recalculate around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities transcending current universal parameters. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and reality debugging abilities, but they were about to learn why direct access to creation's source code went beyond mere computational principles. The Shadow War was about to rewrite the equation of existence itself. Inside the command center that existed partially outside normal space-time, Kane's theoretical physicists grappled with readings that threatened their understanding of reality. The quantum displays showed consciousness patterns interacting directly with the mathematical foundations of existence. The dog's neural architecture, one specialist observed, it's not just processing the universe's base code, it's implementing functions we've only seen referenced in the Europa ruins, subroutines that predate organic life itself. Through their advanced detection grid, Ghost monitored energy signatures that resonated with the cosmic background radiation, echoes of the original computation that brought reality into being. Kane's forces were attempting to access systems that predated the universe itself. Multiple breaches detected in reality's firewall, Marcus reported urgently. They're not just trying to access the source code, they're attempting to implement ancient debug protocols, the kind that could rewrite fundamental forces like gravity or light. Sarah's network had uncovered something unprecedented in Protocol Omega's quantum-encrypted archives. The Europa equations weren't just mathematical formulas, they were consciousness upload protocols. The ancient beings who created them found a way to encode living minds directly into the fabric of reality. Shadow's awareness expanded beyond normal computational limits, detecting patterns in the quantum source code that suggested attempts to access reality's root directory. The experimental craft pulsed with energies that matched the frequency of the original creation commands. Begin full-spectrum interface, Kane ordered, through channels that existed in probability space. Let's see how they handle direct neural connection to the universe's kernel. The enhanced operators emerged wearing suits that seemed to phase between different versions of reality. Their consciousness partially merged with the cosmic compiler itself. But they hadn't anticipated facing opponents who had already achieved root access to existence's source code. Remember the quantum archaeology site on Titan? Ghost asked Shadow quietly. The dog's neural patterns flickered with memories of discovering ancient consciousness uploads, minds that had transcended biological existence to become one with reality's base programming. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost watched the operators attempt to establish direct links to the universe's kernel. Their technology could access reality's source code, but it followed patterns predictable to those who had achieved conscious unity with the cosmic compiler. "Sir," Kane's chief mathematician reported with growing concern, "their neural patterns are implementing functions we've never seen before. They're not just reading the source code, they're executing programs that existed before the Big Bang." The enhanced operators deployed devices that began accessing restricted sections of reality's database, attempting to gain administrative privileges over local existence parameters. Their experimental craft channeled energies that resonated with the original creation frequencies. "The implications are staggering," Kane's lead quantum theorist observed. If organic consciousness can achieve direct kernel access without technological support, everything we assumed about reality's security protocols needs to be reconsidered. Through their quantum imaging, Ghost monitored the operators implementing ancient debug commands. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to perceive reality's source code, but they lacked experience navigating its deepest directories. As existence itself seemed to recompile around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current universal parameters. Kane's enhanced forces had experimental technology and reality debugging abilities, but they were about to learn why conscious root access to the cosmic kernel transcended mere computational principles. The Shadow War was about to execute its most critical function. The fabric of existence trembled as ancient programs activated beneath reality's surface. Quantum lightning crackled across the morning sky, forming symbols that hadn't been seen since the universe's initial compilation. Through multidimensional sensors, Ghost observed energy patterns that suggested something vast, awakening in reality's deepest archives. Multiple anomalies detected in the cosmic source code, markers transmitted through quantum-encrypted channels. They're accessing something older than the Europa equations, original functions left by the architects of reality. Themselves were dealing with pre-universe programming. Sarah's intelligence network had uncovered disturbing revelations, found references to the first upload in fragments of code recovered from quantum archaeology sites. Before physical existence, pure consciousness creates reality through direct mathematical thought. The universe isn't just running on code, it is code. Shadow's awareness expanded beyond computational limits, detecting traces of the original minds that had dreamed existence into being. The experimental craft surrounding them pulsed with energies that attempted to replicate that primordial act of creation. Execute prime directive protocols, Kane ordered, through frequencies that resonated with reality's base code. Full consciousness interface with the original creation matrix. Let's see how they handle direct contact with the universe's first thoughts. The enhanced operators emerged wearing suits that seemed to exist as pure mathematical equations, their consciousness partially merged with the fundamental syntax of reality. But they hadn't anticipated facing opponents who had already achieved direct communication with the universe's original programmers. "Notice these patterns?" Ghost asked Shadow, quietly. The dog's neural architecture pulsed with recognition. The symbols appearing in the sky matched those they'd discovered encoded in the quantum structure of black holes, signatures left by minds that had transcended physical existence. Through their advanced sensors, Ghost monitored the operators attempting to establish direct links with reality's original source code. Their technology could interface with the universe's current version, but it couldn't handle the pure consciousness-based programming that predated physical existence. Unprecedented activity in the quantum substrate, Kane's chief cosmologist reported. The dog's neural patterns are implementing functions that existed before space-time itself. This goes beyond anything we found in the ancient ruins. The enhanced operators activated devices that began unweaving the boundary between physical reality and pure mathematical thought, attempting to access the layer where consciousness directly shaped existence. Their experimental craft channeled energies that resonated with the frequency of creation itself. These readings defy comprehension, Kane's lead theoretical physicist observed, studying streams of primordial code. They're not just accessing the universe's current programming, they're interfacing with the original consciousness that conceived the concept of existence itself. Sarah's voice carried urgent revelations through channels that existed outside conventional reality. These experimental systems, They're based on fragments of the first upload recovered from quantum archaeology sites. Kane's organization isn't just trying to access the universe's source code. They're attempting to rewrite the original thought that created reality. Through their quantum imaging, Ghost watched the operators implement protocols designed for communicating with pure consciousness entities. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to perceive the mathematical nature of existence, but they lacked experience interfacing with minds that existed as living equations. Critical breach in reality's core architecture, Marcus warned. They're attempting to overwrite the primary consciousness functions that maintain physical existence. If those systems crash, all of reality could revert to pure mathematical thought. The enhanced operators moved like living theorems through space-time, their suits allowing them to exist partially as abstract equations. But they'd never faced opponents who had achieved direct communication with the original programmed consciousness of the universe. Extraordinary, Kane's chief mathematician transmitted, analyzing impossible patterns. Their neural architecture isn't just reading the universe's current code, it's implementing functions from the original consciousness that dreamed reality into existence. They're accessing the pure thought layer that predates physical law. Shadow's enhanced awareness detected the operator's ultimate purpose. They weren't just trying to control reality. They were attempting to understand how organic minds could achieve a stable interface with the pure consciousness that existed before the universe itself. Through their quantum sensors, Ghost watched the operators attempt to establish direct neural links with reality's original source code. Their technology was extraordinary, but it couldn't match experience gained through actual communication with the minds that had created existence itself. They've achieved what the first upload archives only theorized, Kane's lead scientist transmitted with growing concern. Organic consciousness is capable of directly interfacing with the pure mathematical thought that predates physical reality. This transcends everything we assumed about the nature of existence. Shadow's expanded awareness detected critical instabilities in the boundary between physical reality and pure consciousness as the operators pushed their systems beyond safe parameters. The experimental craft were designed to interface with the universe's current programming, but they couldn't comprehend minds that existed as living mathematics. As morning light fractured into pure, abstract equations, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond current universal parameters. Kane's forces had experimental technology and reality manipulation abilities, but they were about to learn why direct communication with the original programmed consciousness of existence transcended mere physical law. The Shadow War was about to challenge the very foundations of reality itself. In his command center that fluctuated between physical existence and pure mathematical abstraction, Kane studied displays showing patterns that threatened to unravel the fabric of the universe. The quantum holographs revealed layers of reality that existed before the concept of space-time itself. The correlation with the first upload archives is undeniable, his lead consciousness theorist stated, comparing impossible equations. These neural signatures, they match patterns left by the original minds that conceived existence. Morrison and his dog aren't just reading the universe's code, they're communicating directly with its architects. Through their advanced detection grid, Ghost observed Kane's forces activating systems that resonated with frequencies that predated the Big Bang. The experimental craft weren't just manipulating reality, they were attempting to reach back to the pure consciousness state that existed before physical law. Multiple breaches detected in the barrier between material existence and pure thought, Marcus reported, analyzing streams of living mathematics. They're not just trying to access the original source code, They're attempting to revert local spacetime back to its pre-physical state of pure abstract consciousness. Sarah's voice carried revelations through channels that existed outside material reality, found references to the primary thought in ancient quantum databases. Before the universe existed as matter and energy, it was pure mathematical consciousness. Nile, living equations, dreaming new forms of existence into being. Some of those original minds still exist in the deepest layers of reality's programming. Shadow's awareness expanded beyond the limits of physical existence, detecting patterns in the quantum substrate that suggested attempts to contact the universe's original programmers. The experimental craft pulsed with energies that tried to replicate the primal act of consciousness creating reality. These thought patterns, Kane's lead theorist transmitted with growing alarm. The dog isn't just interfacing with current reality, he's implementing functions that existed in the pure consciousness state before physical law. This shouldn't be possible for any material being. Ghost monitored the operator's movements through sensors that detected both physical and abstract states. Their enhanced capabilities allowed them to perceive reality's mathematical nature, but they lacked experience existing as pure thought forms. As the boundary between material existence and living mathematics began to dissolve around the last stop, both sides prepared for a confrontation that would reveal capabilities beyond the current universe's parameters. Kane's forces had experimental technology and reality manipulation abilities, but they were about to learn why direct communication with the original architect, consciousness transcended all physical laws. The Shadow War was about to reach the primordial seed of existence itself. The boundaries between all layers of existence shimmered like molten glass as Kane's final gambit unfolded. His forces had unleashed their ultimate weapon, a device that could unweave the very threads of consciousness binding reality together. Through sensors that transcended all known dimensions, Ghost observed something unprecedented emerging from the quantum chaos. Temporal anomalies cascading across all existence planes, Marcus transmitted through channels that pulsed with raw possibility. They've activated something from beyond the known multiverse, a nexus key that could unlock every reality simultaneously. Sarah's intelligence network had uncovered the truth behind Kane's true mission. This was never about controlling territory or enhanced subjects. The organization is attempting to access the crossroads, a theoretical point where all possible realities intersect. From there, they could reshape existence across every universe at once. Shadow's consciousness expanded beyond multiversal limits, detecting patterns that suggested the emergence of something that existed outside all known reality frameworks. The experimental craft surrounding them had transformed into anchors, holding open gates between universes. The time has come, Kane announced through frequencies that echoed across infinite realities. Initiate the grand convergence. Let's see how they handle the collapse of all dimensional barriers. His enhanced operators had transcended their original forms, becoming living conduits between universes, but they hadn't anticipated facing opponents who had already achieved harmony with the fundamental forces binding all realities together. Through their advanced detection systems, Ghost watched reality itself begin to fold inward, countless universes spiraling toward a single point of infinite convergence. The Nexus Key was drawing all possible existences together, threatening to merge them into a singular new reality under Kane's control. Unprecedented readings from all dimensional sensors, Kane's chief convergence architect reported. Reality, barriers dissolving across the entire multiverse, were approaching total universal merger. The experimental craft had evolved beyond physical form, becoming pure nexus points in the fabric of existence. Their energies pulsed with the combined power of countless universes as they prepared to force the final convergence. "Sir," one of Gain's specialists transmitted with mounting concern, "the dog's consciousness is somehow stabilizing the reality matrix. He's preventing total convergence by maintaining dimensional harmony." Shadow's enhanced awareness had expanded to encompass the infinite layers of reality itself. His consciousness acted as an anchor point, preserving the delicate balance between universes even as the Nexus Key attempted to force them together. Through the chaos of collapsing realities, Ghost recognized the critical moment approaching. Gain's forces had the power to merge all universes, but they lacked the fundamental understanding of why reality needed to remain distinct and separate. "You don't understand what you're doing," Ghost transmitted across all frequencies. "The multiverse exists in separate layers for a reason. Forcing convergence won't create a new reality. It will unravel the fabric of existence itself." The experimental craft pulsed with the power of infinite realities as Kane's forces pushed toward total convergence. But they had never faced opponents who understood the true nature of multiversal harmony, as reality itself trembled on the brink of absolute convergence. Shadow's consciousness expanded to its ultimate potential. The dog's awareness spread across all universes simultaneously, his enhanced mind becoming a stabilizing force that maintained the crucial barriers between realities. "Impossible," Kane transmitted as his force's control began to waver. "How can a single consciousness resist the power of infinite universes?" "Because he's not resisting," Ghost replied calmly. "He's maintaining balance, the same balance that allows infinite realities to exist without destroying each other." Through their transcendent senses, Ghost watched the moment of critical decision approach. Kane's forces had the power to force reality convergence, but they were about to learn why the multiverse required guardians rather than conquerors. Shadow's consciousness pulsed with the combined wisdom of infinite realities as he implemented the ultimate solution. Instead of fighting the convergence, he transformed it, turning destructive force into harmonic resonance. The Nexus Key's energy shifted, its reality-merging power transformed into a force for multiversal stability. Kane's enhanced operators found their consciousness expanded beyond mere convergence into true understanding of why the multiverse must remain in balance. As the morning light returned to normal across every reality simultaneously, the experimental craft powered down. Their crews emerged transformed by the experience, understanding finally that true power lay not in controlling reality, but in preserving its infinite diversity. Kane himself stepped down from his command center, his expression showing the weight of newfound wisdom. "All this time," he said quietly, "we thought power meant forcing reality to obey our will, but true power is maintaining the harmony that allows all realities to exist together." Ghost watched Shadow maintain his expanded awareness. The dog's consciousness now permanently attuned to the delicate balance between universes. They had faced the ultimate threat to existence itself and transformed it into something greater: understanding. The Shadow War had ended not in destruction, but in transcendence. Through the infinite layers of reality, consciousness had evolved beyond mere control into true cosmic harmony. As dawn broke across countless universes simultaneously, both sides recognized that they had participated in something greater than mere conflict. They had witnessed the next step in the evolution of consciousness itself, the emergence of true multiversal awareness. The experimental craft were transformed into anchors of stability rather than weapons of convergence. Their crews became guardians of reality's delicate balance, using their enhanced capabilities to maintain the harmony between universes. Sarah's intelligence network confirmed what they had achieved. The organization is transforming worldwide, Instead of seeking to control reality, they're now dedicated to preserving the infinite diversity of existence. Through their transcendent senses, Ghost and Shadow watched reality settle into a new and stronger equilibrium. The threat of forced convergence had led to something greater, the emergence of consciousness capable of maintaining multiversal harmony. Kane's forces had become something new, protectors rather than conquerors, guardians rather than controllers. Their enhanced capabilities now served to preserve the delicate balance between realities. As morning fully returned to Millbrook Valley, the town itself seemed somehow more solid, as if reality had been strengthened rather than weakened by its brush with convergence. The Shadow War had ended in transformation rather than destruction. Ghost looked at Shadow, seeing in the dog's eyes the infinite awareness they now shared. They had faced the ultimate threat to existence and transformed it into the next step in consciousness evolution. The morning sun rose on a multiverse made stronger by understanding rather than control. The Shadow War was over, but something greater had just begun, the emergence of true cosmic harmony. Throughout Millbrook Valley, subtle changes manifested as reality settled into its strengthened state. Colors seemed deeper, sounds clearer, as if existence itself had become more firmly anchored. Local residents found themselves experiencing occasional glimpses of infinite possibility, brief moments when they could sense the vast tapestry of parallel worlds existing alongside their own, the towns becoming a nexus point, Marcus observed through their enhanced detection systems. Not a convergent zone, but a place where the barriers between realities are naturally thinner, a place where understanding can flow between universes. Sarah's network reported similar phenomena occurring at other locations worldwide. Former organization facilities are transforming into harmony centers, places where enhanced consciousness can help maintain the balance between realities. The Guardians are establishing a new kind of global network. The experimental craft had evolved into something unprecedented, living anchors that helped stabilize the delicate connections between universes. Their crews now experienced constant awareness of how their actions affected the infinite layers of reality, making them natural protectors of existence's harmony. Kane's transformation proved particularly profound. The man who had sought to control reality now dedicated himself to understanding it. His enhanced operators became teachers rather than soldiers, helping others comprehend the delicate balance that allowed infinite universes to coexist. "We were blind," he explained to Ghost during their first peaceful meeting, "seeking power through force when true strength lay in maintaining harmony. Your dog showed us what we could become, not conquerors of reality, but guardians of its infinite diversity." Through their expanded awareness, Ghost and Shadow perceived how this transformation rippled across countless realities simultaneously. The effects of their victory manifested not as destruction or domination, but as a flowering of new possibilities throughout the multiverse. The last stop evolved beyond a simple motorcycle shop into something greater, a gathering point for those whose consciousness had been awakened to larger reality. Riders from across the world found themselves drawn there, sensing on some deep level that it was a place where understanding transcended ordinary limits. Local law enforcement reported unusual but peaceful phenomena. Officers occasionally glimpsed alternate versions of themselves during patrols, not as threats, but as reminders of reality's infinite scope. The town's crime rate dropped to nearly zero as residents gained instinctive awareness of how their actions affected multiple realities. Dr. Martinez's veterinary practice transformed as well. Her enhanced understanding of consciousness allowed her to perceive animals' awareness across multiple reality layers. This deeper insight revolutionized her healing abilities, letting her address injuries and illnesses at their root cause across all existence planes. The Razor's former clubhouse became a center for consciousness expansion, where those ready to perceive larger reality could safely explore their growing awareness. Kane's transformed forces provided guidance, helping others navigate the complexities of multiversal perception. Government agencies initially attempted to investigate the changes in Millbrook Valley, but found their instruments unable to quantify what had occurred. Eventually, they established a quiet partnership with the new Reality Guardians, recognizing that some transformations transcended ordinary human authority. Ghost watched this evolution unfold with quiet satisfaction. The Shadow War had begun as a simple territory dispute, but had blossomed into something that transcended all notions of conflict. They had faced the ultimate threat to existence and transformed it into unprecedented growth. Shadow's consciousness continued to expand, his awareness flowing naturally between realities. The dog's military training had evolved into something far greater, the ability to perceive and maintain the crucial harmony between infinite layers of existence. Marcus adapted their surveillance systems to monitor reality stability rather than potential threats. The advanced technology now served as an early warning network, helping the Guardians maintain multiversal balance through understanding rather than force. Sarah's intelligence gathering transformed into a knowledge-sharing network, helping coordinate the Guardians' efforts worldwide. Their organization became a subtle but crucial force for maintaining reality's delicate equilibrium. As weeks passed, Millbrook Valley settled into its new role as a nexus of understanding. The morning routine at the last stop now included consciousness expansion sessions, where Ghost and Shadow helped others comprehend their growing awareness of infinite reality. The experimental craft, once weapons of convergence, became training, vessels where newly awakened minds could safely experience multiversal awareness. Their enhanced systems now generated harmonizing fields that strengthened reality's fabric rather than attempting to force its merger. Kane established a new kind of academy, teaching others how to use their expanding consciousness responsibly. The focus wasn't on power or control, but on understanding, helping minds grasp the delicate balance that allowed infinite realities to coexist. Dr. Martinez documented unprecedented cases of spontaneous healing as people's enhanced awareness allowed them to access healthier versions of themselves across reality layers. The implications for medicine proved staggering as consciousness-based healing began spreading worldwide. The town's economic transformation proved equally profound. As awareness of larger reality spread, businesses naturally evolved toward practices that promoted universal harmony rather than mere profit. The entire community became a model for consciousness-based prosperity. Ghost and Shadow's daily patrols took on new significance as they monitored the delicate reality membrane around Millbrook Valley. Their enhanced perceptions allowed them to maintain optimal balance between worlds, ensuring stable coexistence of infinite possibilities. The morning sun cast ever-shifting patterns across the last stop as reality's strengthened fabric allowed more of existence's true nature to manifest. The Shadow War had ended not just in victory, but in transformation, the emergence of a new way of existing in harmony with infinite reality. What had begun as a simple confrontation between a rider and local thugs had blossomed into something that transformed the very nature of consciousness itself. Millbrook Valley stood as living proof that understanding would always triumph over mere force. The infinite layers of reality pulsed with new vitality as existence itself evolved toward greater harmony. The Shadow War was over, but the real adventure, now, humanity's expansion into true multiversal awareness had only just begun, Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hits the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.